Welcome to Weeks Ahead AI, where business owners learn how to use AI to save time, cut costs, and stay weeks ahead.
Welcome back to Weeks Ahead AI. This is Brad. I've got Terry and Mitch with me as usual. Good to have you guys.
Glad to be here.
my old friends, thanks for not laying out on me. We've got another guest with us today. I'm really excited about this. Scott Oshman is here with us from Oshman Aviation. Really excited to hear what he's thinking about in the world of AI. So, Terry, give us a little intro to Scott.
Well, I met Scott about 7 or 8 years ago. 2017, I think, is when we met. And Scott is an IATA accredited aircraft dealer here in North Texas. Did I say it right?
That's right.
That's not a question.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
All right.
Why IATA?
But yeah, we connected, 8 years ago. I've always thought very highly of Scott. He's just a really sharp young man, and when we kind of really started thinking about AI, Scott was one of the phone calls we made, and brought him in here, and he was excited about it, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Is let you tell everybody about your business, but then also just what your AI journey has been, and kind of what started it, and what you've done to date. So. With that, why don't you tell us about
more about Oshman Aviation, kind of what you do and who you are.
Sure. Well, first of all, appreciate you guys for the invitation. I've enjoyed listening to your podcast and the few meetings we've had to discuss what you guys are building with Relay Hub, and excited to see how that could work for our company. So appreciate the invitation.
Yeah.
Oshman Aviation is an aircraft dealership and brokerage firm based in Fort Worth, Texas. Our focus is on buying aircraft to resell. That's everything from turboprops, so think King Airs, all the way up to mid-size business jets. Occasionally we'll do some larger cabin jets, but our niche or our focus are on turboprop all the way up to mid-size business jets. So there's the inventory side of the business, which think dealership, almost similar to cars, or commercial real estate or residential real estate, where you buy the asset, you do some value add to it, make improvements, and then the ultimate goal is to resell it and have a profit at the end of the transaction. And then there's the brokerage side of the business, which is very similar and relatable to a realtor to a commercial property or a residential property, where you're representing an asset, which would be an aircraft in our case. We represent buyers and sellers. I would say about half the time it's because maybe a client of ours doesn't have what we are or what they are looking for, and so we'll go out and help them find what it is they're looking for. And that can be for different circumstances. But we have the dealership side of the business and the brokerage side of the business, and then both generally complement each other at some point. So, and our business is global. That's a big word used in our industry, but for the most part, it's United States, Canada, and Mexico, but predominantly the United States. But we have definitely done transactions in Europe and in South America as well. But yeah, that's us here in Fort Worth, Texas.
How long have you been doing this?
So I got into aviation in 2008. I had transferred from a school, Division II school, where I was playing football and kind of fell in love with aviation, but they didn't have a program for me or to start flight training. That's what really got me into it. So 2008, transferred up to University of North Texas. That's where I got my bachelor's degree and did flight training. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green, that's right.
Having a good season. But yeah, so started flight training in 2008, and then got a job at the flight school that I was training at, and just kind of worked my way up from there. That was, during the GFC, so things weren't great, especially in the aviation industry. Airline pilots were getting furloughed, and here I was chasing the dream of being an airline pilot. But that also led me into opportunities to see the business side of aviation, aside from just flying. So I got all my ratings and ended up becoming a flight instructor, but then had an opportunity to do charter sales in 2011.
So think what? Think NetJets?
Think smaller, more boutique, but one-off charter sales. So say if one of you you guys were to say, hey, I want to go to Vail with my family to go skiing in December, I would be somebody that you would call, and we would quote the trip for you and get your logistics all set up. So that got me into the business aviation side of things, and then that ultimately led to a promotion to get into the aircraft sales side of things, and I really never turned back. We added a layer to that, which was aircraft management, which was actually how Terry and I met at one point. He became a customer of mine, and that was great. But so we did management, sales, and it's been that since I started my company in 2017. So I worked for now a competitor up until 2017, and then I started Oshman Aviation, and it's still going strong today, thankfully.
That's awesome.
A fascinating story, and for our listeners that want to hear more about Scott, you were on another podcast at one point that I listened to, and it was aviation focused podcast, and it went into great detail, like how your whole history, and so we can put a link to that in our show notes, and for anybody that wants to go listen. But
That'd be great.
Very cool. Well, it's a pleasure having you, man. Appreciate you listening in. We now know we've got 2 or 3 listeners at least, right? No, but appreciate.
we have to keep inviting guests so
Yeah.
that they'll listen, right?
Appreciate the support for sure. So we met a few months ago, but and talked about kind of you heard the podcast. You and Terry had touched base about kind of some AI, some things we're thinking, but kind of where did you really get thinking about AI, and what made you kind of say maybe I need to do something here?
It probably was just, I mean, you heard about it. I would say I'm a couple months into this. So I'm going to be, for the listeners, I'm going to be a little more relatable to somebody that's not tech savvy as much.
It's like Terry.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
And he's much more advanced than I am, I promise.
But I'm every bit of just an entrepreneur that's hungry to learn. And so, I heard about AI out there, and it's growing legs, and I know it's been around far before I ever knew about it. But it's kind of like when you heard about Bitcoin, it exploded all of a sudden. Now AI is a discussion that's all over.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was probably just by talking to Terry and talking to others and being introduced to it. But really I was reluctant to give it a shot. I was a little bit more defensive to the idea of technology and how it could change my industry, certainly what I do. But then I kind of compared it to the internet. There were a lot of people that bet against the internet, and look what happened, right? We literally can't survive without it. So it was either jump in or jump out. And if you don't jump in, the train's already kind of left the station. So you better catch up and hop on. And so what's impressive about AI and having the opportunity to be mentors like guys like you are, receive mentorship, is you can learn a lot pretty quick. And if you don't start learning, it will pass you up because it's changing daily. And so I've learned a lot in just a few months of it. My day one was using ChatGPT only because I knew of ChatGPT.
Yeah. That's where you get. Yeah, that's where we all kind of first get exposed to it.
That's
for
right.
the most part, yeah.
Well, can I also say, you've shared this with us before. You're in an industry that you feel like is a bit archaic. Is that?
Very. Very archaic. I mean, my industry lags. I'd be willing to say the majority of industries out there when it comes to integrating technology or being open to technology. And a lot of that is not in the aircraft sales side, but it's more of on the regulatory side, being that the aviation industry as a whole, especially when it comes to operating aircraft, is regulated by the FAA. And the FAA is very slow to adopt technology. And I shared this with you guys at one of our first meetings when discussing AI. But as a classic example, when we transact these airplanes, there's several documents that have to be signed. All right, there's bills of sale, there's registration applications, purchase agreements, letters of intent. There's a lot going on here. But a few of those are required to be on file with the FAA. And it wasn't even until 2016 when they allowed electronic signature, meaning DocuSign, to be accepted. We were working off pink and yellow sheets that were carbon copies, and you would have to FedEx overnight them to get a deal closed the next day.
So you're selling a deal in California.
Yep.
You're FedExing
to the escrow agent, who all of them are in Oklahoma City because that's where the FAA's headquarters is. They would get them in these plastic bins on a daily basis when the mail showed up, and they would walk them across the street to go file them with the FAA. and they'd be time stamped and
this is in what year that this was still happening?
2016. It finally changed, and they started allowing electronically signed documents. So that is an indicator of that's the testimony of how slow things are in my industry.
So then when we first started talking, we mentioned trying for you to try to identify. We're sharing this concept that, hey, we think this might be able to help you. And we started asking you to identify tasks that were repeatable, time-consuming, scalable, and error-prone. And then while we were trying to work on our product that we thought could help you, you kind of went off and you started putting this stuff together and dabbling on your own. So what kinds of tasks did you identify that it could help you with?
I mean, so day one with me dabbling with ChatGPT was just helping me reformat an email to be a little bit more clear, concise, and massaging it in a way to get the point across that I was trying to get across. As we know, emails, text messages can get misunderstood very easily. That was day one was, hey, and I was just impressed by how it immediately it was able to format it in the way that I wanted to see it, or gave me other options to change it. So I started there with helping with constructing communications through emails. Also looked at it for increasing my presence through our website, aircraft specifications, building those so that they're a little more easier to read for our customers. Market analysis. So going online, telling ChatGPT, copy and paste, whether they're spec sheets or they're listings that are online, compare the aircraft. Let me know pros and cons. Let's talk about valuations. Is there a gap between these two airplanes in terms of value and why? Right. So just using it as a tool to help me and my company be more polished, be even more experts in what we're trying to do and what we're presenting. So, I mean, I went from, hey, help me reconstruct this email to today it's not a matter of if I'm using AI, it's one of I'm not using AI. I mean, using it that much on a daily basis, not only just business, but personal, youth sports with creating rosters. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? Yeah. It's unbelievable, but
it knows which one of your 8-year-olds should be a starting pitcher.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And the efficiencies with that. But yeah, I wanted to, then the goal became, okay, instead of just like using it for email purposes or social media or spec sheet creation, is how can I increase revenues and decrease operating expenses with it, right? How can I make this affect the bottom line of the business? And that's through efficiency, right? The more efficient we can be, the more effective we're going to be in whatever the mission may be. So I started using that for that. I mean, today, the two greatest uses I've found so far in terms of efficiencies and being effective, one was purchase agreements. On our aircraft transaction, our purchase agreements are anywhere from 20 to 30 pages long. A lot of
these customized, like each one's different, or is it kind of a promulgated form where you're filling in the blanks?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's different than real estate where everything's fairly regulated in the same form. Everything is circumstantial. There's no one airplane that's the same. There's no one deal that's the same. They're all negotiated differently. The terms and conditions are all different from the inspection process, work scopes, going from point A to point B. There's a lot into it. And so everything's circumstantial. Therefore, the purchase agreements are all circumstantial. Now, each brokerage firm or dealership has their boilerplate templates that their attorneys have constructed, but they're not just copy and paste. You still have to tweak them. So what I did was I took our last 10 transactions and said to AI, I want you to analyze these, review these. And then I took a current transaction we were doing in the purchase agreement we're using and saying, hey, we didn't provide this one. A lot of it's prompting it, right? Telling it what we're doing here. This is not my own purchase agreement. It's not one our legal has provided. So keep this in mind, but compare it to all the 10 that I provided and let me know where are we exposed, right? Highlight where do I need to spend my time and focus so then I can send it to our attorney to look at, right? Because attorneys are paid on billable hours. If I can cut that cost by letting AI say, hey, here are some areas that might reduce the amount of time I'm being billed, for legal matters. The second was doing due diligence for aircraft transactions on the inventory side. So really similar. Put my P&L in there for all the transactions since 2017 to date. Put together a summary report, shows every single deal we've done, whether it was a brokerage deal or it was an inventory transaction, and just said, analyze this. And then the reason for this is I want you to help me underwrite this deal that I'm currently looking at. And so it did an incredible job of saying, hey, this is how long your sales cycle is on these inventory transactions. This is your average profit margin. This is your average rate of return. There's a lot to it that, it created this in probably 10 seconds, right. After analyzing it. And so the due diligence aspect of it for the transactional piece of the business has been awesome.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself, have you gone back and checked its math and made sure that it's thinking correctly?
Yeah.
I mean,
and
we've found that sometimes, especially with ChatGPT, that we've had some challenges with anything that's math related.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten better and better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just curious kind of if you found any errors or, are you at a point where you trust it yet?
And that's probably what kept me, again, like I said earlier, reluctant to start using it. Was I was a little bit hesitant to trust it. And so, yes, I've found that on the math side of things, it's been spot on. As long as what you're providing, it's been spot on. Where I have seen it be off, and this just happened last week, is a customer tried to not use AI against us, but it was with one of our sales reps. He said he tried, his pitch was we were asking too much for a particular airplane. We always put asking prices with our aircraft. And we said, well, on what basis? So he forwarded us, or forwarded me an email correspondence. It was AI, and it's very easy to tell at times, right? I think the best thing you can do is take it and then manipulate it how you want it to be.
Yeah.
But it was
Don't just copy paste.
yeah, it was very
yeah.
clearly AI generated, but it was comparing two airplanes that were not even the same model of the aircraft we had for sale. So we were selling a King Air B200, and it was giving him information, market knowledge, and data on a King Air 200. Okay, 200s and B200s doesn't seem like it'd be a difference. There is. There's years, there's engines, there's avionics, there's value driving factors that matter, and it really wasn't applicable to what he was trying to do here. And so I pointed out the fact that I felt it was AI generated, and also pointed out, but in a kind way.
Yeah.
Thankfully through ChatGPT helped me lay it on.
You did great research and.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, while I appreciate that you are using AI, because we use it too, just know that AI does not have sales data. They don't have market comps, right? It's only as good as what it's scraping out of the internet.
Which
And
has been one of the challenges that,
for sure.
For you.
It is, because you have to be careful of, about what's being used against you. And yes, AI is using asking prices, but in our world, more than half of the listings don't have a price. It's call for price, because they're trying to drive inbound interest in contacts. But so I explained to him that yes, AI is a great tool, but in this case, you got to be careful, because you're not going to be able to buy an airplane. This is the approach you're going to take. You need to lean on the advice of a professional and look at market comps, which AI is not going to have. Mm-hmm. So sales data matters.
Yeah. So I find that funny that you had a customer using it,
In that case, say the particular airplane was less than $2 million, but say they were asking $5 million. Well, you can ask anything you want, right? And so AI is thinking, hey, it's worth this. Well, no, it's not. It's just because they said that's
Somebody's
the price.
asking,
Right.
Yeah.
Where you see underneath it, what other questions would you like me to answer about this?
Yeah. Yep.
So you've talked about a lot of ways that you're using it, and I mean, if you had to pick one way, it's like this is the biggest. I can't live without this. You could take the rest of them, but you can't take this from me. What are you using? How are you using it right now? It's like I gotta keep using this.
I've found it very helpful. So here recently, I had a market researcher that I promoted to an aircraft sales role.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to figure out a way that I could start assigning him duties. And so create kind of this split structure where he's now ready, and there's going to be a promotion that took place that he would take over all the brokerage aircraft, and that transition has taken place. But I would say it created this great plan, outlined this great plan of how to segue into that. And it broke it down week by week, hour by hour, how to be as efficient as possible with this and to start transitioning roles and responsibilities towards them. So I'd say structure internally is a big one. And then the second one, which is probably equal to that, like I said earlier, it's the deal underwriting.
Yeah.
It's learning. My AI agent has learned how our deal flow works, what our target margins are, what exposures we have out there, how we've financed the deals.
Yeah.
And it's learned it where it is not replacing a person, but is a second brain in the operation, right? And so that's what I love about it is it's someone else or something else I can rely on to help me make quicker decisions that are more result driven.
Well, a lot of the value, it sounds to me like you're getting out of it, is because of the time you've spent and the information you've given it for your specific business and industry, right? And so kudos to you to have, because the data is so critical. You don't want it just operating off of, like you said, just these random sales prices that are out in the world or somebody else's data, but your information and the way you look at things. And so kudos to you. And that's, I think, something that all business owners or users need to be thinking about. Like, I need to give it good information if I really want it to be really useful tool for me.
What Scott's describing, I remember one of our early sessions when we had our think tank group, and somebody told me this, and I've remembered it ever since, and I think we've said it on this show, but if you're a business owner, you think of AI as, I have an expert of, you pick the topic.
Right.
I have an expert in the room that sits right here that is available anytime you want them. And that's really what you're describing here is I've got somebody that I can bounce something off of, and they're available 24/7, and they're smarter than you are, which is just, that's incredible. That's really powerful for any business. For sure.
And that doesn't mean you have to go with the decision it suggests for you, but it's an opinion you can consider.
Yeah. For sure.
What was your aha moment? Like, when did you decide I can use this?
I'd have to go back to the underwriting process. When I saw that it was able to quickly analyze essentially our financials on these deals, and it to help me make a decision between two airplanes, two different types of airplanes. Just last week, we looked at a Citation Mustang versus a Phenom 100 to inventory. And I said, hey, just based on what you know and based on what you know about the market, if you were me making this investment for resale purposes, what would you do? And the way it outlined it for me and the way it chose the right option for me was, I would say that was the aha moment.
Like
that was just
you couldn't
in stone.
poke a hole in it. It seemed to make sense.
It made complete sense, and it even tied it back to, if this is your target profit margin based on what we know from what I know from what you've provided, then this is the better option. But if you're willing to take a slightly less margin, then this is still a good option. So I mean, it is down. It's micro awesome. Is that? Yeah, it is very awesome.
And then how many times did you use AI and spend a ton of time double checking it before you're just like, all I got to do is hit enter and I'll trust what I get from it?
Can you repeat it one more time?
So you did the underwriting, you liked what you saw, made sense.
Mm-hmm.
You went back to do it the next 2, 3, 4, 5 times. How many times after that initial time did you just kind of turn over trust that it was getting it right?
Pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, pretty quick. Aside from the experience with that customer last week where it was just blatantly obvious that what was being used against us wasn't applicable, everything else has been relatively spot on. So there's been very few times where I've really questioned it.
This analyst that you've hired, right, been with you 3 or 4 months now?
Almost a year, but yeah. So just promoted to a sales role.
Younger guy?
Younger guy.
Yeah. So how did he embrace when you said, I'm going to start using AI more? And was he like, I'm all in? Or was he like, hey, they wouldn't let me use it in college, so what am I doing here?
Well, what's funny about that is the opposite happened of what I expected. I expected that he was already using it.
Yeah.
Because he is a younger guy. Guy's in his mid-20s, TCU finance major, very smart, bright guy, was not using AI. I literally introduced it to him.
Wow.
And then since I've introduced him to other tools such as Plod. But And really, that was kind of my first go at all this, was using Plot as a suggestion by you guys. But yeah, he didn't understand how to use it or how easy it was to use it until we talked about it, and now he uses it quite a bit.
Wow.
So
that actually feels pretty good when you're
Right.
like you're the old guy in the room and you get to introduce a young guy.
yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like, who's staying ahead of the times here? You know?
That's awesome.
How much time do you feel like it saves you, or how much you probably don't turn off? I assume you just keep going, but either how much time does it save you, or how much more work are you getting done in a day now?
I don't know the exact number, but I would have to say at least 50%. It saved me at least 50% to 70% on certain tasks.
Wow.
Some are less than that, but I would say because of how quick it's able to generate responses, that would take hours, but turning it into seconds, that's been the most impressive part. So yeah.
And I think I've met with you 4 or 5 times, and you seem very even, like you don't get stressed, but I assume there's stressful times in your job. What has it done to your stress level when you have a big problem you're trying to solve? Do you instantly feel like, I can solve this in 10 minutes now instead of taking 4 or 5 days to think about it?
Yeah, I do. And if my wife was here, she could tell you how stressed I get sometimes. But
Let's get her on the phone.
it helps with decision making, that's for sure. But yes, it lowers my stress level in the fact that it's able to get me what I'm trying to obtain faster, right? And so, and I think that's important because I don't believe AI is going to replace people, but it's going to make people sharper, because of how quick it is and how easily it's able to analyze data. But yeah, I mean, I think that it has helped with stress for sure. So especially with certain tasks in our industry, time kills deals.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that's a known fact. A lot of emotion is involved in these transactions. So the longer you take on these deals, the higher chance there'll be at your transaction not going through for any given reason. It could be just, I slept on it and it's just not right anymore for me, right? Or it could be the opposite. It could be, I slept on it, I can't miss out on this deal. So time can kill deals. And I really feel that AI is going to help reduce the risk with time killing deals, because I feel like it's the efficiencies, right? We're going to be more effective because how efficient AI is. One decision in our industry and with these aircraft, especially when it comes to maintenance, can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars if the decision's not made at the right time, from flying to maintaining them to managing them to operating them. I mean, and so I think AI is going to be a great tool that's going to help reduce exposure to those critical decisions that have to be made that can save hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to operating.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mitch.
You should be, and it's okay. So you're in an industry where the data is not easy to get. And there's lots of people that probably say, well, in my industry, I can't really use AI because I don't have access to the data. What do you say to those people that are hesitating getting into AI because they don't own the data?
Yeah, it's a great question. It was shocking. I guess it shouldn't be because of our industry, but it was surprising that how many companies aren't even talking about it or negative on it. Not belittling it, but just saying more of a wait and see mentality. Whereas I didn't speak up too much on it because I'm also not trying to spill our special sauce,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
But it was surprising how there's not very many people that are willing to jump in on it quite yet, and I really feel like they're going to get left.
Right.
left
You
on
know,
it.
it's funny, Scott. I talked to a financial analyst at one point when this has been a few months ago, and I sat down next to him at a game, actually a track meet, and you know, this guy's in the Metroplex. He's been in the industry for 30 years, and I immediately sat down and we started talking AI. And I asked him, how do you think about it in your business? Because I'm fascinated by, you know, the possibilities in the you know, financial wealth management business. And immediately he was telling me he went straight negative. All the things that are wrong with it, what it can't do that he can do. And, you know, and he must have talked for 20 minutes. And so at the end of the conversation, I said, do you think there's any way it could help you? And so the fact that this is what you're saying, I think that's common.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's in aircraft sales industry or if it's in wealth management or if it's in, legal. We talk about attorneys a lot on here and, but they all think that somehow it can't apply to their business.
It can't actually help me. It can't do what I need it to do. Yeah.
And you're a prime example that it can. So zoom out for a second. You're sort of dipping your toe in the water at this point on what AI can do for you. What do you see that could be like? What's going through your head now about, man, this could just totally transform this industry? Is there anything like that you're thinking of?
There is, and it's like Mitch, like you asked me about. Like, it's hard to get the information, so I want to create. Yes, I'm learning more. I know a lot more in the last 3 months than I knew at day one, but now I'm to the point where I'm all in on it, and so now I'm figuring out a way to develop a tool that can be customer facing, that can benefit my company and give us a competitive edge compared to the rest of the market. Because, like you said a second ago, I'm in an industry where data is, number one, confidential. A lot of that's protected contractually on these agreements. So you're only as good as the data that you are privy to, right? And so I'd like to create a tool that's customer facing, that is based on our own intelligence, that can be beneficial for our customers. And without getting to showing our cards on that too much or getting too in depth on that, but I think it's out there, and I do think that there's a lot of opportunity there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if anybody can figure it out, Scott's going to be one that can.
I don't know about
Stay
that.
after it. Yeah, it's worth fighting for and worth working on for sure. Very cool. So now that you've kind of 3 months in, you're weeks ahead. You're with us. You're weeks ahead now. So welcome to the future. What advice would you give to other business owners or operators that are still kind of sitting on the sideline and thinking about, do I need to do something here?
I would say dip your toe in it just like I did. And it can be something as elementary as, can you help me rewrite this email or this text message or whatever it may be. I don't think I'd use GPT to help with creating images because, some of their photos are off. But I would say be open-minded, dip your toe in it, say, hey, can you rephrase this? And prompt it in a way is your goal to be professional sounding? Is your goal to be more conversational and loose about it? And just see the response. And then don't just look at it from the business mindset. See how you can take it into your personal life too. Yeah. I made a hotel reservation last week in Vegas based on the fitness center that ChatGPT said, hey, this has got a good one. You should look at this.
Did it do it right?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, shout out to Fontainebleau,
Humble
Las
brag.
Vegas.
All right. Way down
That's
at
simple.
the end of the strip.
Oh yeah,
huh?
worth it though.
Yeah.
But it
Terry
doesn't
knows
have
that
to
gym.
be.
He's been there.
Yeah.
It can be personal. It can be a recipe for dinner. The sky's the limit with it. So
Really is. Yeah.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Well, how can people learn more about Oshman Aviation?
If you want to buy or sell an airplane, right,
Yeah.
where do they find you?
if you're listening and you've got cash burning a hole in your pocket,
Hey, there's some great bonus depreciation.
that's right.
Yeah.
We got the big beautiful bill brought back 100% bonus. So
Yeah.
if you're having a great year, give us a call. OshmanAviation.com is going to be the easiest option. That's our website.
Coupon code.
Yeah.
Weeks ahead.
Yeah. We used to have Groupons.
$10 off.
Yeah.
$10 off your first purchase.
Office lines 817-661-0234.
Very cool.
That is awesome. And what a cool industry. I've always been fascinated by what he does. Think it's so cool. And,
Oh, yeah.
I talk to him sometimes and he's in a different city or he just flew here and it's always on a private airplane and it's pretty cool. I know it's still a job, but it's pretty cool. And
Have you
Thanks
sold
for-
any flying cars yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I don't think we're far off from it, but
I don't think
and
so
then
either.
There's a lot of investment right now in the drone world too, with especially with package delivery and medicine.
I think it'd be a fascinating discussion, just your personal thoughts on, personal aircraft and where we're going with that. But it seems like we're getting there.
We're getting there, but I still think it's far out. I mean, with the amount of regulation there is with airspaces and dealing with the FAA to get stuff approved, and it takes a while for a good reason, right? Safety is always at the forefront. But, yeah, I don't know.
AI
I think we're closer on drones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. AI will be the backbone of the drone
How it works.
coordinates and
you
logistics.
can't help. I mean, you can't ignore Elon Musk and the whole thing either, because you're with what he's done with Tesla and SpaceX and everything. It's like all of that just screams that he could dominate that industry too.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, really appreciate your time today. You know, I think having guys like yourself on. We had Mason on a few episodes ago as well. Just average business owners, operators, starting to use it and the impact that it's making your business. I know you wouldn't give it up now, right?
No doubt.
Scott got
No
very uncomfortable when you called him average. I saw him over there.
Average
going,
Joe.
Anything but
No,
average.
no.
he's
To all the
guy.
listeners, I am the guy that you can probably relate to, who's not your most IT savvy one in the room.
Well, appreciate you joining us, and anybody else that's listening in thinking, "Gosh, y'all haven't covered this yet." Give us a shout. We'd love to have you on, or give us an idea for another discussion that we need to have here. But thanks again for joining us this week on Weeks Ahead AI, and Scott, go sell some airplanes.
That's right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.